Greetings. Hey, it's Susie Q. This morning I had this experience with a beautiful divine person that was kind of looking at things differently, and I kept thinking, well, I wonder what I could say to that person for them to feel a little bit lighter in the body and more courageous. So the Phoenix Rising came up this morning, and these are really kind of neat energies with moving through the phoenix and going into courage and strength and powerful and smarter kind of ways of looking at life. So I think some people like right now are still kind of like going, okay, so what's next? What's the next best thing for me? And I would say that that phoenix rising is really kind of just kind of coming up through the heart space, maybe working from the lumbar and coming all the way up here, and maybe going further into the higher chakras as well. So, all right, so that's not exactly what I wanted to talk to you about, but this is what's happening for now. So, it's fun when we start looking at things and kind of starting connecting the dots. So with your life, with the life that you're living, you might start noticing some connecting the dots within your own stories. It could be past lives or future lives or present life. And so we really want to really, entertain the present life, this moment of now, the Iman energy, the eternal moment of now, which is present, So, but we can still do a little bit more if we want to engage with understanding the underpinnings of possibly part of our life story in this body, in your present body. We could go through all the other past lives, but for now, we're really focusing on the present life that we're living in. And when we start working with the present moment, is that we find that there's some things that may start kind of, connecting. So maybe it's an equation of some type, and maybe you never got it. And then all of a sudden, oh, I got it. I got it. I got it. And so my got it is that consciousness that's showing us that possibility that some things may be connecting the dots, and even for other people, if they're not like, what does this mean, like what is the connecting the dots of the story of our life, our present life? But I think that there's some really good guidance there. So what I've noticed from my own juicy self, right, is that I've noticed that through the automatic writing that I did starting back in 2008, and then going into maybe 2015, where Kundalini awakening, all these different gifts came in, lots and lots of gifts came in, and it was kind of a hot mess. It was a kind of a hot mess, and so I learned maybe even with the things that happened in 2015, I could turn things off. I didn't have to be on all the time with all the gifts that I was given. So that's been a blessing. But then, even working with some of the Akashic records that I do, I also do the quantum healing hypnosis technique. And there's some of that that's kind of coming up to surface right now for me as well. I've kind of just discerned, and I think all of us kind of come to some level of a different conclusion, or maybe that was a bad situation, but there was something that was coming up that was rising, like the phoenix rising, is coming up for me, and it's conspiring to help me feel lighter in my body, and I get more understanding about these experiences that I've lived in. And so, what happened for me is so silly because I've been doing all of this kind of energy work for many years. And then every once in a while, I kind of have like, oh my gosh, I've just realized something about my own sense of self, and possibly for you as well. Is that a lot of times when I do the automatic writing pieces, um, I just write, I just write, and I'm like the scribe, or I'm like the typist. I'm like this like cute little typist over here. But then when I start looking at some of the written pieces, I start reconciling that. I'm guessing, I think this is maybe true. Maybe it could be true for you, maybe true for me, but it feels like it's my truth. Is all of these written pieces were from my Akashic records, giving me guidance, moving forward, and even with that. The Phoenix rising is we get more power, we get more strength, we get more courage, we get smarter, we get more intelligent through the Phoenix rising. And so it took me a while just to kind of go like, I bet that the automatic writing and the Akashic records were companions for me in this lifetime. meaning that I get guidance through the Akashic records as a means of having a better way of living and a better way of experiencing the richness of life. So sometimes the connecting the dots is so funny. It was like it's been kind of an extraordinary experience with the Akashic records, moving into automatic writing and looking at the events in my life that helped me to explore more deeply some of the events in my in my life. It's been super fun. But when we start looking at some of the events in a person's life, I'll say my life or your life or the cats down the street's life, is that we start noticing that we are starting to learn a little bit more about ourselves. And sometimes learning about ourselves a little bit more might look messy, look really messy. But when we start really looking at it more deeply, we find that we're kind of like in a school of thought. We're in the earthly, arena, and we're learning and growing and expanding more deeply with some of the things that we might have said that was a boo boo, or I messed up, or I did somebody wrong, or I cheated somebody, or I cheated myself. Any of these things are showing up. But I think that with this Phoenix rising energy, is that as we kind of start really rising up into our heart space, just like we're like really leaning into the heart space, is we just start noticing that things are feeling lighter, much, much lighter than it had been before. Because even if we're saying we're just here on this planet, we're having this experience, it's been good or bad or indifferent. I don't really even judge it necessarily, but we could say that that Phoenix rising is working within each one of us right now. And this morning, when I was having a chat with somebody else, that Phoenix rising it just kind of like was like, God, it was this beautiful heart space that was opening, for more understanding about some of the lessons in our life. And even with the Akashic records moving into automatic writing, there's going to be a lot more for me to understand. And I think for each one of us, we want to grow, we want to expand, we want to learn new ways of being. And so some of these terms may not make sense for you, like the Akashic records, automatic writing, or even the QHHT. But whatever it is for you, that you are really ready to just pronounce it like, this is me. This is what I'm going to be doing now. This is my new adventure, my new experience, and through it all, I love myself. I absolutely freaking love myself just as I am. And the more that I go deeper with this consciousness, is I love myself, and whether it be the automatic writing or the Akashic records or just whatever it is that you're creating is going to be perfectly divine for you. This is the right time, the right experience, and the right moment to say yes to looking at things differently, to look at a broader perspective, a broader sense of loving self. And when you start loving yourself, that means that extends out into the people that you're with, that that you love. All of this beautiful vibration through the Phoenix rising, it's going to start sending out more love, more experience, and more guidance and more joy. So I think that's it for now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this video, but it just feels like it was like ripe for me just to say, okay, Phoenix rising, here we go, here we go. It's going to be great. So have a great day, and namaste.